देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. So we are reading from Canto 5, chapter 18, verse number 37. द्रव्य क्रिया हेतु अयनेश कर्तृभे माया गुणैर्वस्तु निरीक्षितात्मने अन्वीक्षयान् गातिशयात्म बुद्धिभेर निरस्तमाया कृतये नमो नमः. द्रव्य क्रिया हेतु अयनेश कर्तृभेर माया गुणैर्वस्तु निरीक्षतात्मने अन्वीक्षयान् गातिशयात्म बुद्धिभेर निरस्तमाया कृतये नमो नमः. द्रव्य क्रिया हेतु अयनेश कर्तृभेर माया गुणैर्वस्तु निरीक्षतात्मने अन्वीक्षयान् गातिशयात्म बुद्धिभेर निरस्तमाया कृतये नमो नमः.
द्रव्य क्रिया हेत्वयनेश कर्तृभेर माया गुणैर्वस्तु निरीक्षतात्मने अन्वीक्षयान् गातिशयात्म बुद्धिभेर निरस्तमाया कृतये नमो नमः. द्रव्य क्रिया हेतु अयनेश कर्तृभेर माया गुणैर्वस्तु निरीक्षितात्मने अन्वीक्षयान् गातिशयात्म बुद्धिभेर निरस्तमाया कृतये नमो नमः.
द्रव्य क्रिया हेतु अयनेश कर्तृभेर
माया गुणैर्वस्तु निरीक्षतात्मने अन्वीक्षयान् गातिशयात्म बुद्धिभेर निरस्तमाया कृतये नमो नमः. Dravya, by the objects of sense enjoyment. Kriya, the activities of the senses. Hetu, the predominating deities of sensory activities. Ayana, the body. Isha, the predominating time. Kartribhi, by false egotism. Maya Gunehe, by the modes of material nature. Vastu, as a fact. Nirikshita, being observed. Atmane, unto the supersoul. Anvikshaya, by careful consideration. Anga, by the limbs of yogic practice. Atishaya Atma Buddhi bhi, by those whose intelligence has become fixed,
by those whose intelligence has become fixed,
nirasta, completely freed from
completely free from
Maya,
Maya,
the illusory energy,
illusory energy,
Akritaye,
Mahakritaye,
whose form,
whose form,
Nama,
Namaha,
all respectful obeisances,
all respectful obeisances,
Namaha,
Namaha,
all respectful obeisances.
respectful obeisances.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Translation: the objects of material enjoyment, sound, form, taste, touch and smell, the activities of the senses, the controllers of the sensory activities, the demigods, the body, eternal time, and egotism are all creations of your material energy. Those whose intelligence has become fixed by perfect execution of mystic yoga can see that all these elements result from the actions of your external energy. They can also see your transcendental form as supersoul in the background of everything. Therefore, I repeatedly offer my obeisances unto you. Purport: the objects of material enjoyment, the sensory activities, attachment to sensual pleasure, the body, false egotism, and so on are produced by the Lord's external energy Maya. The background of all these activities is the living being, and the director of the living beings is the supersoul. The living beings is not the all in all. He is directed by the supersoul. In Bhagavad Gita 15.15, Krishna confirms this. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannavishto matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. The living entity depends on the supersoul for directions. A person advanced in spiritual knowledge or a person expert in the practice of mystic yoga, yam, niyam, asan, and so on, can understand transcendence either as Paramatma or as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord is the original cause of all natural events. Therefore, he is described as Sarva Karana Karana, the cause of all causes. Behind everything visible to our material eyes is some cause. And one who can see the original cause of all causes, Lord Krishna, can actually see. Krishna, the Satchid Anand Vigraha, is the background of everything. As he himself confirms in the Bhagavad Gita, Maya dakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam hetunanena kaunteya jagat viparivartate. This material nature is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, and it is producing all moving and unmoving beings. By its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Pakadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroh Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamshta Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Itam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Vishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarobhesha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Mokam karoti vachalam pangum nangayate girim yat kripatam ham bande Shri Gurum Dinatharina. Hare Krishna. So we are continuing our discussion of the prayers which were offered by the residents of Jambudvip. And as we were discussing in the different varshas, so the entire Jambudvip was divided into 9 varshas. And in each and every varsha there was a predominating deity that was there. And then there were chief inhabitants who were there, and they were offering various set of prayers to the predominating deity. And all these inhabitants, they are offering beautiful set of prayers. So we have seen already in the different verses, like Prahlad Maharaj prayers we saw, and Aryama's prayers we saw previously. And here we see Lakshmi or Bhudevi, she is offering prayers to Varahadev, or the boar incarnation of the Lord. And this is a continuation of the prayers which we discussed. So if we see in the previous prayer or the last verse which we discussed, one very interesting point that was mentioned is that even though the Lord or those expert in understanding the absolute truth try to see you in everything, even in their own bodies, yet you remain unconcealed, yet you remain concealed. So one point that was mentioned is that, or this thing was mentioned, that who can see the Lord? This was very nicely clarified in the previous verse, where it's mentioned by mental or physical activities, by some gymnastics, by some exercises, or whatever a person does. By those things, someone cannot understand the Lord. And then it was mentioned that who can actually see the Lord? So the line that is mentioned is, only when you see that a person is wholeheartedly engaged in searching for you, do you reveal yourself. So this was a very interesting point that was made in this prayer, that by the own endeavor of a person or by different activities, as is mentioned, mental or physical activities, by these activities a person cannot understand the Lord, but only by one aspect the person can understand, when he has a sincere desire or an intense desire to search for the position of the Lord. Is aspect of how Lord is the cause of all causes. So here multiple points that are mentioned are Dravya, Kriya, Hetu. So Dravya is the objects of sense enjoyment. So Dravya, we know the 5 objects of sense enjoyment: sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. These are the 5 objects of sense enjoyment. And then Kriya is the activities of the senses, or basically the different senses and how they are engaged in different activities. And third thing that is mentioned is Hetu. That is, behind every sense, there is a predominating deity. For all the senses, we know there are some sense devtas that are there. So in this regard, one interesting point to understand is that how, when the senses are there, all of us have the senses and sense objects are also there. But can we unlimitedly enjoy with the sense objects, or can we unlimitedly come in connection with the sense objects? No, that is also not possible. As much as these deities, they decide, or how much the sense devtas allow, that much only sense gratification we can enjoy. And that we already know, even though a person has the desire to enjoy a lot, but still due to some or the other disease, due to some or the other reason, he is not able to. Because only until and unless these devtas or these sense presiding devtas, they do not sanction, a person cannot enjoy his senses. Even though sense objects may be there, senses may be there. And here the point that is mentioned in this prayer is that even behind these sense presiding devtas, there is one supreme person who is there, who is the cause of all causes, who is directing everything, but not directly through his external energy. Through his external energy, through his illusory energy, or through these Devi Devtas, the sense presiding Devtas, he is the one who is directing everything. He is the one who is directing how much a person can enjoy, how much a person or a person's senses can come in contact with sense objects. Even though he might have the desire to enjoy all the senses in an unlimited way, but that is also not possible. How much ever the Devtas allow, how much they allow the senses to function, only that much a person can enjoy. And then further other aspects are mentioned, that how Ayana, that is the body, Isha, the predominating time, Kartribhi, the false egotism, are all creations of your material energy. So here this aspect is highlighted, how these different things, the senses, sense objects, demigods or the controllers of the senses, even the time, as Krishna himself says in the Bhagavad Gita, Kalo Asmi, Loka Shet Krit Pravadho, that he is the one who in the form of time destroys everything. And here he says that he is that time, even the body that is there, and finally this false ego that is there. And all these things are just expansions of his material energy, or the expansions of his external energy. And then further it's mentioned, those whose intelligence has been fixed by the perfect execution of mystic yoga can see that all these elements result from the actions of your external energy. So basically, those who are advanced in transcendental life, or those who are advanced in transcendental activities, those people, they can understand this, or they can understand how these interactions are happening. They can understand how Lord is behind in each and every activity. And they can also see your transcendental form as super soul in the background of everything. Therefore, I repeatedly offer my obeisances to you. So one thing we see, even in many people, many spiritual practitioners, not everyone will have this understanding, or not everyone will understand that how things are happening in this world. We know in the Shat Darsans also there is one of the philosophies, Karma Mimamsa philosophy, where people think that, okay, you do nice work, you'll get pious results. You do sinful activities, you'll get sinful results. But then they don't accept that there is someone behind that. They won't accept that there is someone who's orchestrating all that. Their philosophy, or Karma Mimamsa philosophy, is just this activities, he has to get nice results. But here another point that is, it's not like that. There is one person who is responsible for energy who is acting. And those who are advanced in spiritual life, they can see that all elements result from the actions of external energy. And then she says they can also understand your transcendental form as super soul in the background of everything. So Prabhupada writes in the purport that all these objects and so on are produced by the Lord's external energy. The background of all these activities is the living being, and the director of living beings is the super soul. The living being is not all in all. So even if the person thinks, okay, if a person understands I am the spirit soul, but he doesn't understand anything beyond that. He doesn't understand how his activities are being directed, how things are happening. Knowledge, or that is also not perfect knowledge. Because unless the super soul is there who is directing, who is guiding the living entity cannot do anything independently. As soon as the super soul leaves the body, as soon as the super soul quits the body, no one can live or no one can survive without his presence. And that is the point that is mentioned, that the director of the living beings is the super soul. And we all know that how the super soul gives directions. Super soul is the one who is responsible, Anumanta Upadrishta. He is the one who oversees all the activities. Upadrishta, he sanctions all the activities. And he directs in various ways. Of course, depending on the degree of the person, depending on the degree of surrender, he directs in various ways. To some personalities, or in some ways, he always directs all the personalities. Like we give some examples, like a calf taking birth from a cow. Even she gets to know that she has to take the milk from the udder of the mother. No one tells her, no one directs, automatically she goes and she starts sucking the milk. So that way we understand that how the Lord or the super soul that is there, he directs all the living entities in various ways. And of course, his special directions are given for those who are specially surrendered to him or especially dedicated to him. But here the point that is mentioned is the living being is not the all in all, he is directed by the super soul. But then point that is mentioned that not everyone can understand this. How the material nature is acting and how everything in this world is acting under the sanction of the Supreme Lord. How Supreme Lord is directing, sanctioning all the activities. It's very, very difficult for everyone to understand. And Krishna himself says, when Krishna is telling in the Bhagavad Gita about his opulences, in the 10th chapter and the 9th chapter, he speaks about his different opulences. But there he himself says that not everyone can understand. He says, Name vidu surugana prabhavam na maharshaya. Aham adir hi devanam maharshi nam cha sarvasha. So he says, Name vidu surgana, that surgana, the demigods who are there, the great saintly persons who are there, even they cannot understand me, they do not know me. That aham adir hi devanam, I am the cause of all causes. So Krishna himself is accepting, Krishna himself is saying that not everyone can understand me. It's not easy to understand me. And he says, aham adir hi, I am the one who is the cause of even those demigods, even the rishis, even the saintly persons. But they also cannot understand me. And of course, Prabhupada very nicely points out there that when the demigods cannot understand, when the rishis cannot understand, so what to speak about these tiny scientists of this world, who are trying to understand the Lord, who are doing so many activities or giving so many conclusions. When Krishna is saying that these great personalities cannot understand, then these tiny scholars or these tiny personalities, what can they understand? And that's why this point is mentioned, that scholarship is not just the necessary qualification, or scholarship is not the qualification that is necessary to understand the Lord. As in the previous verse also, when Bhudevi is praying, she is also saying the same aspect, that by the mental activities, by learning or by some physical activities, we cannot understand the Lord. No one can understand the Lord by force. So then the point comes, or then this comes about the opulences of the Lord, or who can understand the Lord. So you see, in one of the very interesting discussions in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his teachings to Sanatana Goswami. So there he explains about different activities, and there he explains about the opulences of the Lord. There's an entire section where Mahaprabhu explains about the opulences of the Lord, the greatness of the opulences of the Lord. And then he also explains that who can understand the Lord, or how can one understand the Lord. So first he explains that how much the Lord, or how much he explains about the transcendental forms of the Lord, about the spiritual world that is there. And there he explains there are innumerable planets that are there. The Vaikuntha planets, they are beyond the reach of one person or beyond the reach of understanding. And neither how many planets and how many universes, that is also impossible for any person to understand. And there he explains all these Vaikuntha planets that are there, they are just located in one part of the spiritual sky, one corner of the spiritual sky. So then, just to estimate how much big is the spiritual sky, that is like impossible. If to understand even one Vaikuntha planet, its length and breadth is not possible. Number of planets there, no one knows, or it's impossible to ascertain there. What to speak about understanding the entire spiritual sky that is there. And he explains that how the spiritual sky is like. He explains that the shape of the spiritual sky, it's like a lotus flower. And he compares them to these lotus flowers. And finally, he says the same point, that even Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, 4 Kumaras, no one can understand. No one can understand the activities of the Lord. And there in one of this, he says this, or what he means is, even those who are very, very intelligent person, very, very qualified, even they cannot understand the activities of the Lord. And of course, Prabhupada translate all that to great scientists. Prabhupada says that great scientists, they cannot understand. And there in one of the teachings, he says that even these great personalities or great intelligent personalities, even if they are able to count all the atoms in the universe, even if one day, of course, that is also impossible, or atoms in the universe, even in one place, no one can count the atoms. But he says, even if one day they are able to count all the atoms in the universe, all the stars, all the planets, even then, even such personalities, they cannot count the unlimited qualities of the Lord. That is impossible for a person to count. So Mahaprabhu says this to understand the entire qualities of the Lord. Of course, he was explaining the different qualities, and then he was saying it's impossible to understand these qualities for any personality in general. And Prabhupada says for science, completely impossible. They are trying to count or do different discoveries, but they cannot understand all this. And furthermore, he also explains the opulences, that what to speak about Lord Brahma, even Ananta Shesh. We heard the past time that how he is engaged in constantly glorifying the Lord with his unlimited mouths. But he also never tires, or his subject matters never end. He has also been engaged in glorifying the Lord right from time immemorial, but still he continues. The glories never end. And that's why he explains that the glories are so unlimited, so great, Lord himself is not able to understand. It is when Lord himself is not able to understand what to speak about other entities, or what to speak about any conditioned soul of this world. How can they understand the activities of the Supreme Lord? And even when the Lord was personally present, even when the Lord personally descended, even that time, those who try to understand those activities, read those activities, they are also bewildered. Of course, we see sometimes devotees offer their prayers that how they are bewildered at the activities of the Lord. But then the Lord reveals themselves, they are able to understand. But for any ordinary person to even understand the activities of the Lord when he descends, that is also very difficult. Without the mercy of the Lord, that is also not possible. So that's why we see when it comes to Brahma, when he understood this, when we know in the past time of Brahma Vimohan Leela, When he understood the actual identity of the Lord, or when he saw how he has stolen all the calves and cowherd boys, and he's the one who is the creator, he knows who he has created in the world. Each and every living entity, he's aware that these are my creations. He steals all the calves and cowherd boys, and he's surprised to see that they come again, or all of them are present again. As soon as he comes back, he sees everyone present again. And that time he also gets bewildered. And there the entire pastime continues, how those cowherd men and all those boys, they turn into four-hand Vishnu Murtis. And there it's explained that even he sees other Brahmas of other universes, they are also offering obeisances to the Lord there. And Lord is expanding so many Vaikuntha planets unlimitedly. This is the vision which Brahma has that time. And that's when he understands that that's when he starts offering prayers of repentance, prayers of forgiveness, the beautiful prayers he offers. And there he speaks, or there in one of the prayers, again he speaks the same thing. That you take many, many incarnations. Lord takes many, many incarnations. He descends in many forms. You come as Lord Ram, Lord Varaha, and many, many incarnations you keep on taking in all the three worlds. And somewhere or the other, your pastimes are continuously happening. In one or the other planet, in one or the other universe, your pastimes keep on continuously happening. But still, even if you keep on doing all this, but no one can estimate, no one can understand how your spiritual energies are working, or how you are engaging in all these activities, how you are doing all these pastimes. It's very, very difficult to understand all this. And there it's described, Lord Brahma says this further. Of course, this comes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It doesn't come in the Bhagavatam, but Lord Brahma further continues like that. He says that if someone says, like he says like this, that if people in this world might say they know Krishna, or many times people say that I know everything about Krishna, I can understand Krishna, or some things like that. So Brahma says that people in this world, they might say like this, they might say they can understand Krishna. But as far as I am concerned, I cannot even understand a particle of the drop of nectar of ocean of this Supreme Personality who is there. It's impossible for me to understand even that. That's how Brahma praises the position of the Lord. And he says, your opulence is like an unlimited ocean of nectar. And for me to understand this is verbally and mentally impossible. Now, one thing we have to understand here, when Brahma is speaking all this, Brahma is speaking that I cannot understand these opulences, or even the limit of the opulences that are there. Then one interesting thing is, this is the same Brahma we are talking about who Krishna himself gave the Chatushloki Bhagavatam, or who Krishna himself spoke all the knowledge. But still, the point that is made is how much opulences or how much unlimited opulences the Lord has, that Brahma is also praying like that, that I cannot understand all these opulences, or there is no limit to these opulences that are there. We know that Krishna himself came and he himself enlightened Brahma about all this knowledge. The famous verse, Aham evasam evagre nanyad sadasat param. How Krishna enlightens Brahma, his destruction happens, only me who remains. But now the same person whom all this was explained and all this knowledge was given, he is also expressing his wonder that it's very, very difficult, or it's almost impossible to understand or estimate the opulences of the Lord. So then the point is that when it comes to all these great personalities, they know their position, and they know it's impossible to understand the Lord. Ananta says he's glorifying the Lord, but he's not able to come to an end of the glories. But then when it comes to conditioned souls, they get bewildered. Or they are the ones who are under the mistake, or who think that they can understand the Lord by their own endeavor, or by their understand the position of the Lord. But the fact of the matter is, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Prakrate kriyamanane gune karmani sarvasa ahankara vimulatma karta aham iti manyate. Why people in this world still, when we see such great personalities, they are saying they cannot understand the position of the Lord, they cannot count the opulences of the Lord. Then why people in this world think that they can understand the Lord, or they try to understand the Lord by their own endeavor? Just because they are under these modes of nature. And they start thinking themselves as the Karta. They think they are the one who is the cause of all causes, or they are the one who are creating everything, who are doing all the activities, not understanding that there is someone behind this, or there is someone behind the activities they are doing. And that is why they get bewildered, so much bewildered by the modes of nature, and they start thinking that the position of the Lord. You see, in one of the pastimes that comes from one of the disciples, he writes in one of the books nicely, or he was telling this aspect of one of the. So, or in this book, Miracles on Second Avenue only, when they went to preach to London, or when all these disciples, or we know the three couples who were sent to London to preach, and we know all these three couples. One was Yamuna Mataji and Gurudas Prabhu, another was Sham Sundar Prabhu, Malti Mataji, and there was two more, that is Mukunda Prabhu and Janki Mataji, and there was one more personality who was there. There was one that was the son of Sham Sundar Prabhu and Malti Mataji, young. This Saraswati who was just born some time back, or very young she was. So now when all these personalities, they had gone to London, Mukund Maharaj, he was explaining one thing very nice in this entire regard. So they were trying their best to preach there, or they were trying their best to preach in London. And their preaching strategy was something different. So he was telling, he was the one who had gone initially to San Francisco. There they had opened the center initially, and to multiple other places. So when they were preaching in all these places, or when they were preaching in different places, their strategy used to be, they used to search for the places where hippies or the people searching for alternative lifestyle are present. They used to go to those places, they used to do Sankirtan, and naturally such people will become attracted. So they'll come that what is something happening. Because these people were searching for an alternative lifestyle. They were looking for something alternative. They didn't have any alternate. So they used to get attracted. That was the preaching strategy at that point. So now these three couples, they were sharing, or he writes in the book, that when they had gone to London, there also they thought the same strategy will work. They'll do all this and somehow they'll attract people, they'll start preaching. But then he was writing that there was a huge struggle that happened there. Because they were searching, but such people were not there, it seems, that time. Or even though they were searching, but that was London was a different atmosphere, and there was no hippie culture, nothing like that of that sort. They were going to different places, they were doing Sankirtan, they were trying their best, but nothing was working out. They couldn't even get a place, or the place was also not proper for a temple. And there finally he writes this, that he got that realization, that how initially I used to think that whatever we are doing, Prabhupada sent us here, we'll go there and we'll start a center, we'll do some Sankirtan, people will come and we'll start a center. And we'll go to this place and we'll do this activity, and that's how we'll start. But then when he went to London and when they were struggling like that time he got that realization that somehow or the other it's all by the mercy of the Lord that things happen. I was thinking I can go anywhere, I can do some Sankirtan, I can do some activities, and people will naturally come, they'll get attracted, and that's how we'll start. But that time he got that realization that unless it's the mercy of the spiritual master that flows, unless the mercy of the Lord flows, nothing can happen. Or we cannot do anything on our own. Till that time they were thinking it's just because of our skills, just because of talent we are able to do all these things. And there he writes a letter to Prabhupada also, that he writes whatever reports or whatever activities they are doing, and things are not going out that well, or things are not going on that successfully. And Prabhupada writes them a very encouraging letter. Prabhupada said that whatever you're doing, just continue those activities. If people don't come, things don't work out, doesn't matter, but you continue your activities. And just by your endeavors, that if you put nice endeavors to please the Lord, to please the spiritual master, that is your success. So why I was telling all this aspect was, when it comes to understanding the Lord by our own endeavors, by our own activities, that is next to impossible. Even sometimes we start thinking, okay, by our own skills, by our own different things we know, by these things we can understand, or we can try to understand the Lord, or by the scholarship we can understand the Lord, or by reading scriptures we can understand. But one aspect that is mentioned when it comes to prayers of Brahma or prayers of these great personalities, or even in that pastime which he mentions in London, that only by the mercy of the spiritual master, only by the mercy of the Lord can they achieve whatever success, and that is how they can understand the Lord more and more. That is how they can please the Lord, and that is how they can advance in bhakti. And that is the entire aspect that is mentioned here, or even the previous verse, that only those whose intelligence has become fixed by perfect execution of mystic yoga can see that all these elements result from the actions of your external energy. And by our own endeavor, as we mentioned, it's not possible. So then Prabhupada continues, or Prabhupada writes in the purport, he is directed by the super soul. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna confirms this. Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto matta smritir jnanam as Paramatma, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Basically, the same point that is mentioned, that only when a person advances in spiritual knowledge, and here he's focusing, or here the prayer focuses on the practice of mystic yoga or Ashtanga yoga practice, that one who does these practices and one who is able to advance in that, or as Prabhupada says, one who is advanced by the practice of bhakti yoga also. So then that person can understand that who is the original cause of these events. So many events which unfolded, as it was mentioned in that book also, how different events were happening there, and how he write the title of the book itself, Miracles on the Second Avenue. So how different events, different miracles were happening. But it was only with time that that realization struck to them that who is the actual cause of all these things, or who is the one who is the original cause of all these events that are happening. And without his mercy, nothing can happen. And therefore, he is described as Sarva Karana Karanam, the cause of all causes. Behind everything visible to our material eyes is some cause. And one who can see the original cause of all causes, Lord Krishna can actually see. So we see this point that is mentioned, that whatever we see, even pratyaksha, behind everything visible to our material eyes is some cause. Even with whatever we see with our eyes, we see anything that is happening, there is a cause behind that. But then the point is, we don't understand who is behind that cause. Like in one of the pastimes I was hearing in Prabhupada pastime, he gives a very nice analogy to understand this point. So one time he was there in Vrindavan, or one of the places in the north only, and he was there, he was taking rest, and one of his disciples was massaging him. One of his disciples was taking care, massaging him, and there was a tree just opposite to them. So there was a tree and there was a bird which has built a nest in that tree. So the birds had built a nest, many birds were coming, they were making noise again and again. And Prabhupada was getting disturbed. Prabhupada was trying to translate his books because they were there throughout the day, and whenever Prabhupada would try to translate his books, write his books, that noise was disturbing him. The chirping of the birds, and again they're making that noise. So then he told his disciple, then he told that his own disciple, that you go and remove these birds. So he went, he shoo away all the birds, and the birds fly away, or birds went away. But after some time, they again came and they again sat in the same place. So now this disciple, what he did, he picked up some rubber ball or something, he again shooed them away and put that rubber ball inside that hole that was there in the tree, so that the birds don't come again there. And then he again went, he started massaging Prabhupada. So again the birds started looking for that place, they came that place, and they were again and again poking that rubber ball with their beaks. They're again and again poking, and after some time they were successful, they were able to remove that ball, and again they went inside, they created the nest. Now this time what he did is, this person again he flew them away, and this time he made nice strong bricks, strong balls that were there, and he inserted them very nicely in that hole. He inserted all the balls very nicely so that there was no possibility of it leaking again. And Prabhupada was noticing all this that is happening. So again the birds came, again they tried a lot, and this time they realized that there is no success, they won't be able to remove, and after some time they went away. So seeing all this, Prabhupada gave a very nice connection to this. He said that just like these birds, they are coming again and again. They are coming again and again, they are trying to remove that, or they're trying to create that place for themselves, they're trying to build a nest there. And they're trying, whatever obstructions are coming, they're trying to remove that. But not understanding that the cause is something else, or the cause of creating that obstruction is someone else. They are seeing the cause, they are seeing the ball was there, they were seeing some obstruction was there. But they were not able to understand that there's a person behind that. There's a person who is putting the obstruction in that. And that's why foolishly they were endeavoring again and again. Foolishly they were endeavoring, not understanding the cause behind all the things. And that's how he compares that. That's how living entities in this world, they also keep on engaging in different activities. And as Prabhupada says, that there are many natural events that happen in their life, many things that happen in their life. And they keep on solving problems one after the another. They try to remove the obstructions, try to remove the problems. And if obstructions doesn't go away, they try something else. They try in some other way. But they don't understand this aspect, that who is the cause behind all this? Who is the person who is creating this obstruction? Just like these birds were not creating, again and again they were coming and trying, not understanding that there was a person standing there who was stopping them, or who was creating that obstruction for them. And this is how living entities in this world get bewildered. And that is what is mentioned here also, that finally one who can cause of all causes, or behind everything visible to a materialize is some cause, and one who can see the original cause of all causes, Lord Krishna, can actually see. He is the person who can actually see, who understands that the ultimate runner or ultimate controller is the Supreme Lord, and he is the one who is in the background of everything. Because as the famous shloka goes, Ata Shri Krishna Namadi Na Bhavet Graham Indriye Sevan Mukhe Jivado Swayam Eva Spuratyada. That to understand the Lord's name, understands the Lord form, Lord pastimes, Lord qualities, it's impossible by a blunt senses. If someone tries to understand by blunt senses, someone tries whatever, as it's mentioned even in these prayers, whatever a person tries, he cannot understand. Only when he engages in service to the Supreme Lord, only when he serves the Supreme Lord for his pleasure, then the Lord reveals himself. Sevan Mukhe hi Jivado, when he chants the names of the Lord, then the Lord reveals himself. And as we are discussing about these pastimes of disciples of Prabhupada, so now when it comes to their scholarship or how much knowledge they have, we already discussed some pastime that how they were ignorant of even the basic etiquettes that were there. When it comes to the knowledge in the Vedic scriptures, the depth of the Vedic scriptures, even the basic things, many things they were not knowing. But then one thing was there, they had faith in Prabhupada. Or they were following the instructions which Prabhupada was giving them. And whatever Prabhupada used to tell them, they just used to blindly follow. And one of the another things which Mukund Maharaj also writes in the book. So he writes that how he had amazing interest, or he had a very great interest in music. And of course, he was disciple of Prabhupada, he was doing all this, so he had dovetailed his interest to sing music or to make records, which are all related to Kirtan or something related to Krishna consciousness. But still that interest was always there. So he was telling that one time when they were in London and they were not getting any success, and they were completely hopeless there. So some of his friend sent him a reminder. Some of his friend told him that why don't you come to San Francisco, that is in US, why don't you come back here and we can make some record, we can make a Hare Krishna Kirtan record and we can sell that, or we can put it on the selling or earn something through that. Because they were doing that time, many records were being made and they were getting popularized also. So this person sent him the suggestion that why don't you come back here, we'll make another track and we'll sell it, or we'll try to make a record. Now this person, or Mukund Maharaj, he also thought this is a good idea, I'll go back from here, and there in San Francisco I get the chance to meet Prabhupada also. So that way also is good, and I'll have a change, because anyways nothing is happening here. But Prabhupada came to know that this is about to happen. He's about to return here, even though he was on mission, he was on a project, he's about to leave that, and just for the sake of some record he's coming here. So Maharaj writes in that Prabhupada wrote him a very strong letter that time. Even though he was thinking he was just a musician and something, Prabhupada writes that we are not professional musicians. We have no interest in creating some record or something. As long as it's helping in Krishna consciousness, it's okay. But this is not our main business. You have gone there for preaching, you have gone there for a purpose, and there is no reason for you to return for creating such a record or something like that. Because if you return, what will happen to the other personalities? What about their enthusiasm? What about their bhakti? Or what about how will they sustain basically? And he gives the example, Prabhupada writes in that letter that just like so many people, so many of our disciples are typing for me. That doesn't mean they are professional typewriters or something like that. So music can be used in the service of the Lord, but we are not professional musicians that you return from your mission and do all these activities. And that time initially he writes that Maharaj, it's this So he writes in this that this initially struck him like something. Because till now he was thinking that whatever I like, I'll do, and I'll do it for the pleasure of Prabhupada also. But here was some instruction which he didn't want it to do. Some instruction which he had a desire because he had an interest in music. He wanted to go there, make that record, do something. And Prabhupada was telling him that no, you have to be here and you have to assist these people. And there he tells, now I finally understood what it means to surrender, or now I was understanding what is surrender all about. Because they had heard many lectures and everything, but here was a classical circumstance he was telling, where I had to do something which I did not want it to do. But then I had to do it for the sake of pleasure of Prabhupada, or for the sake of pleasing Prabhupada. So the point is, one who does that, or as it's explained here also, one who actually engages in service for the pleasure of the spiritual master, for the pleasure of the Lord, then such a person can actually understand the Lord. Just by mere scholarship or just by reading the scriptures, just by understanding all these things, a person cannot understand the Lord. When a person actually surrenders and is ready to do whatever the spiritual master desires or whatever has been ordered to him, then such a person, he will be able to make advancement in bhakti, advancement in Krishna consciousness. When he understands all these aspects. And when, and like this, he was also explaining that when he understood all these aspects, then things became very clear to him, or then he was able to make a sense of whatever things are happening there. And further, Prabhupada in this purport quotes this shloka, Maya dhakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam hetu nanena kaunteya jagat viparivartate. That this material nature is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, and it is producing all moving and unmoving beings. By its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. So point again, the same point is mentioned that everything that is happening, the material nature that is working, everything moving, unmoving is happening under the direction of the Supreme Lord. And who can understand the Supreme Lord? Devi Hesha Gunmai Mama Maya Duratya Ma Meva Ye Prapadyante Maya Metam Tarantite. One who surrenders to the spiritual master, one who surrenders to the Supreme Lord, and is ready to do anything for their pleasure, then such a person is able to understand the presence of the Lord, or then such a person is able to understand that how Lord is the cause of all causes. Till that point, or till the point he thinks that he is the one who is doing the activities, or he is the one who is getting the results, or he is the one who is actually performing those activities. Till that time, to understand, till the time a person is dependent on his own efforts or own strength that is there. Until that time, to understand the Lord is very difficult. Because as we have discussed clearly from so many examples, that how great personalities like Brahma, like Lord Shiva, and many other personalities, even they were not able to understand the Lord by their own endeavors, then what to speak of any conditioned soul on this world? And that's why only when a person surrenders to the Lord, when a person surrenders to the spiritual master, or in simple terms, when he follows the instructions which are given by the spiritual master, even though sometimes the instructions may not be pleasing to us or may not be to our liking, but still he follows for their pleasure, then with time the Lord reveals himself. With time, by the mercy of the spiritual master, by the mercy of the Lord, he reveals himself. And even in the Bhagavatam, we see amazing prayers, or so many amazing prayers of surrender by different personalities, that how they also understood the position of the Lord. And they also say the same aspect, that how just by surrendering to the Lord can they understand the Lord, not by any other way. Like we have one prayers of one personality, Gajendra. And how we know, even though he was in the body of an elephant, and just we say this thing that apart from human being, or human being is the chance that is given for a person to understand the Lord, because he has some intelligence. He can understand, he can try to understand at least something about the Lord. But Gajendra was in the body of an elephant. But still, of course, we understand because of his past devotional service or the past devotional activities he has performed, even in that body, he was able to offer those amazing prayers. And those prayers are nothing but the prayers of surrender, where he surrenders to the Supreme Lord, where he takes complete shelter of the Supreme Lord. And that is how we see the Lord himself comes to protect him. So one of his prayers, he says, Yasmin idam yataschedam yenedam va ya idam swayam yo asmat parasmat cha paras tam prapadye swayam bhuva. He offers this very beautiful prayer. We know that past time how he was stuck and the crocodile had caught his leg. And he was stuck under the water, trying to protect himself. And initially, he was also dependent on his own endeavor. He was thinking that by my own endeavor, I'll free my leg, I'll remove this crocodile, or I'll try my best. But finally, when he understood that there's someone else who is the cause of all causes, and my endeavor is not sufficient, then he starts offering these beautiful prayers of surrender. And in this prayer, he says, Yasmin idam yataschedam yenedam ya idam swayam. He says that it is you, the Supreme Lord, in whom everything rests. So Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita also, Maya pitam idam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina. Masthani sarvabhutani na chaham teshu avastita. That how everything that is resting on his energy. And that is what Gajendra says, that you are the one on whom everything rests. The ingredient by which everything is produced, or you are the one who gives the ingredients which produces everything. As Krishna again says in the Gita, Bhumer apo analo vayu, all the ingredients that are there. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, ego. Everything is nothing but the separated energies of the Lord. And even though they may appear to be independent, they may act as if they are independent, the material nature act as if it's independent, but ultimately it's under the direction of the Supreme Lord, it's under the control of the Supreme Lord. So Gajendra is saying that you are the one whom everything rests, you are the one who gives ingredients which produces everything, and of course you are the person who has created, and you are the one who is the cause of cosmic manifestation. And then he says, yet you are different from the cause and result. That how you are the one who has created everything, you are the one who is behind everything, and yet you are different. And that's why he says, Tam Pradya Swayambhavam. Understanding this, or understanding your position, I surrender unto you. You are the one who is self-sufficient, sufficient to do anything and everything, and yet you are different from everything, or yet you are different from your own creation. And I offer my obeisances, or I surrender to you. And like this, we see how Gajendra, even though he was in the body of an elephant, but he offered this beautiful prayers of surrender. Or he offers all these beautiful prayers, surrendering and offering his obeisances to the Lord. And finally, how the Lord came, beautifully protected him, and he was able to understand, or the Lord revealed himself to him. And furthermore, he continues, few other prayers are there where he says, Namo namaste khila karanaya, nishkaranaya, bhuta karanaya, sarvagamam naya mahar marmaya, namo pavargaya parayanaya. Again he says, Namo namaste khila karanaya. Again he offers his obeisances. He says something similar. He says on the similar lines, khila karanaya, that you are the cause of all causes. And then he says, nishkaranaya, bhuta karanaya. That even though adbhuta karanaya, you are the wonderful cause of everything, but there is no one behind you. Because someone may say that if you are the cause of all causes, who is your cause, or who created you? So he's clarifying in the prayer that nishkaranaya, there is no cause behind you. And adbhuta karanaya. And then he says, sarvagamam naya maharnavaya. Sarvagamam means all the agamas that are there. So when you see in the Vedic literatures, we understand they are divided into many categories. There are Vedas, there are Puranas, Upanishads, Vedanta Sutra, agamas that are there. And these agamas are nothing but the different ways to worship the Lord, or even the worship of demigods in given. I was hearing there's something called as Shakta agamas, there are something called as Shaiva agamas. So these agamas are nothing but the ways to worship the Lord, like the Pancharatrika Vidhi we have. So he says, Sarva agamam naya maharnavaya. That ultimately you are the one who has given all this knowledge. Or you are the one who is contained in the Shastras, or you are the shelter of this Vedic knowledge, who is contained in these Shastras like Pancharatras, Vedantas, and many other representations. And even the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Vedesha sarva aham eva vedya. That I am the one who is the cause of all causes, or cause of all these Vedic scriptures. And then he says, Namo pavargaya parayanaya. That since it is you, only you who can give liberation, or who can give protection to your surrendered souls, I offer my respectful obeisances, or I surrender to you, I take your shelter. So one thing that we see which was very clear to him, he understood that who is the cause of all causes, who is the only one personality who can give liberation. Because we know even in that pastime, that time when he was held by the crocodile, there were many demigods who were seeing all the situation. They were also waiting. And if he would have called out to them, they would have also come to hell. They were just waiting that if he calls out, will go in hell. But then he was fixed that I know who is the cause of all causes, and I won't surrender to anyone else. I know who can give me liberation, who can actually help me, and that is the Supreme Lord. And that is why he says, Namo pavargaya parayanaya. That you are the one who can only give me liberation. And that's why I offer my obeisances to you. That's why I take shelter of you. I surrender to you. And this is what we see the real meaning of surrender is. When even in the face of difficulties, even when so many problems are going on, and he had some way out, he could have prayed to the demigods, they could have also protected him. But then even in the face of difficulties, one thing he had sure, or he was particularly fixed on that I will take shelter of only one personality, and that is the Supreme Lord and no one else. And when a person surrenders like that, or when a person prays like that and takes no other shelter in life, then to such a person, Lord reveals himself. And then the Lord becomes pleased and he reveals himself. And that's what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita also. Tesham evanukam partham aham ajnanajam tama nashayami atma bhavasto jnana deepena bhaswata. That only for a person, only for a devotee who has taken complete shelter of the Lord within his heart, then the Lord enlightens such a person from within, and jnana deepena bhaswata. He lights the lamp of knowledge and removes the ignorance that is there. Whatever ignorance that is there in the world, Lord eradicates that ignorance, and Lord lights the lamp of knowledge that is there. So finally, after all these prayers, when Gajendra offers these prayers, finally he offers a very, very beautiful prayer. So I'll just recite that and then we'll discuss something on that. So finally he says, Madrik prapanna pashupasha vimokshanaya muktaya bhuri karunaya namolayaya swamshena sarvatanu brin manasi pratita pratyak drishe bhagavate brahate namaste. So he offers all these different prayers of surrender, and finally he says, Madrik prapanna pashupasha vimokshanaya. He says prapanna, Madrik, like me, prapanna means surrender. And pashupasha vimokshanaya. He says, I am just an animal. Even though just I am an animal who is in a pasha, or who is currently been entangled by this crocodile. And even though I have no qualification, I have no capability, but still I am surrendering unto you. Pashupaya vimokshanaya. And why I am surrendering, that also he tells. That why only to the Supreme Lord, why not to anyone else? It says, Muktaya bhuri karunaya namolayaya. I am surrendering unto you. You are the one who can give mukti. You are the Supreme. And you are the one who is always uncontaminated. Any other personality in this world, even the great demigods, they also come under the modes of nature. And we know past times how Brahma came, Brahma got bewildered by the modes of nature, how Lord Shiva also got bewildered, how any great Devi Devta in this world, they also get bewildered. And that's why Gajendra is offering prayers to the Supreme Lord. He's saying, because you are the one who is uncontaminated. So he says, Madrik prapanna pashupasha vimokshanaya muktaya bhuri karunaya namolayaya. Bhuri karunaya means who are unlimitedly merciful. So one is because he knows that only one personality who can give him shelter, and second thing is that he is the one who is unlimitedly merciful. He is ready to give shelter, he is ready to give his mercy also. And that's why he says, I offer my obeisances unto you. And finally he says, Namo Layaya. So Prabhupada explains this very nicely in that purport, beautiful purport he writes, where he explains the nature of the Lord, or he explains that how Gajendra was offering these prayers, and these prayers beautifully fit the nature of the Lord, or it helps us understand the nature of the Lord. So he says, Bhuri Karunaya Namo Layaya. Bhuri Karunaya means he is the one who is unlimitedly merciful. First of all, he is the only one who can deliver us, or who is the only one who can deliver us from this material existence. And second is, he is unlimitedly merciful, and that's why he is always trying to deliver us. He is always trying his best in various ways to deliver us. And Prabhupada explains that how he is there always within our hearts, and he is always trying in various ways to guide the living entities. So he gives a very nice purport to this word, Namo Layaya. Means one who is not inattentive or never idle. So he explains that Gajendra is offering this prayers, and he's saying to the Lord, offering his obeisances, that you are never inattentive. Now, how to understand this? Lord, of course, Lord can never be inattentive, and Lord is not lazy. But when he's offering this praise, his mood is that you are never inattentive to the deliverance of the living entities, especially to the ones who have surrendered unto you. So he explains that how the Lord is always, or Prabhupada explains that how is the Lord is always attentive to each and every living entity. Even it's not, and Prabhupada says that even now, it's not that when a person offers praise to the Lord or surrenders to the Lord, only when that time the Lord becomes attentive. Lord is very, very attentive at all points of time to all living entities. But it's the living entity's desires that even though the Lord tries his best to deliver him in various ways, tries his best to give him directions in various ways, the living entity purposefully does not take those directions. or purposefully rejects those directions that are there. Prabhupada writes in that purport, he is within our hearts and is not at all inattentive. His only aim is to deliver us from material life. It is not that he becomes attentive to us only when we offer prayers to him. Even before we offer our prayers, he incessantly tries to deliver us. He is never lazy in this regard. And therefore this verse says, Bhuri Karunaya Namo Layaya. Lord is always trying. Wherever we are, either we are attentive or we are engaging in pure devotional service or not, but Lord always tries to guide us in various ways. Lord always tries to help us, be it internally as the Paramatma within or the spiritual master without. Lord tries various ways or in various methods to deliver us, to bring us more and more closer to him. And that is the unlimited mercy of the Lord. And that's why he says, Namo Layaya. And further Prabhupada writes here, that it is the causeless mercy of the Supreme Lord that it always tries to bring us back home, back to Godhead. God is liberated and he tries to make us liberated, but although he is constantly trying, we refuse to accept his instructions. So that's what he explains, or that's what is clear by the prayers, that Lord, it's not the Lord who is not trying to deliver us. Or when a person thinks, or sometimes person may think that, why is the Lord not helping? And many times people lose faith also for that matter. When they go through some tough circumstances or something happens and they start thinking, why is the Lord not helping? But they don't understand, or if they understand this aspect, which Gajendra understood, Lord is always helping and Lord is always very, very attentive. He knows what is happening in the life of every living entity, what is going on in the life of every living entity. And he's trying various ways to help the living entity. Of the person, or Lord is not taking care of the person, problem is to accept his instructions. Person gives up his conceit, person does not want to listen to him. He wants to listen to his own mind and intelligence, and that is the cause of problem. But one thing that is very clear here, he says that Lord is always trying to make us liberate. And even when the person refuses to accept his instructions, even when a person goes away, even after that, it's not that the Lord becomes angry. Because generally it's seen in this world, if there's some transaction that happens, we don't listen to someone, people become angry. But Lord is not like that. And we know that Lord, life after life, he has been there as Paramatma within our heart. And definitely we are there in this world, so that means we have not been listening to his instructions. But still he does not become angry, and he is unlimitedly merciful, and he keeps on trying. He keeps on trying to deliver us, to help us, to direct us in the correct way. And that's why he described as Bhuri Karunaya. So you see how Gajendra offers these beautiful prayers of surrender to the Lord. And not just he offers prayers, he had the complete understanding that he's the only one who can help me deliver free from this conditional existence. He's the only one who is unlimitedly merciful. And he's the only one who is always attentive. Always attentive, and he never gives up. So Gajendra understood that even though I may be in trouble at this point of time, but Lord is the one who knows what is going on. He's the one who is in charge. He knows what is going on with me. And if I surrender to him, if I take his shelter, even though I am an animal, Lord will certainly deliver me. As he says that even though I am just in the body of an animal, because I have surrendered to you, certainly you will release me from this dangerous position. And he says, what to speak of now? Even you have been incessantly trying to deliver me ever since. But then it was me who was not accepting those instructions. But if I surrender to you, you will certainly deliver me. So finally, we can conclude by this when we see all these different prayers that are there in the Bhagavatam. Like here we were seeing the prayers of Bhudevi to Varahadev. Or previously we were seeing the prayers of different other personalities. All the chief inhabitants and different varshas, different dupas. Like the prayers of Aryama we saw. Here we saw the prayers of Gajendra. And the prayers of Brahma also we saw. So one thing through all these prayers we can see that how these people, they have understood that who is the Lord, what is his position. And they are offering prayers out of their realization. Even though Gajendra was in such a difficult circumstance, such a tough circumstance, but still he understood who is the personality he can save me, and that is even in that circumstance he was able to offer prayers to the Lord. And this is a one very amazing thing is that if we can recite these prayers, or if we can connect or try to connect with at least some of the prayers or some of the personalities from Srimad Bhagavatam, because Bhagavatam has so many personalities. Oh, and all of those personalities offer beautiful prayers to the Lord. So if you read any of the prayers, if you try to connect with the mood of these personalities and try to recite these prayers, of course, at least from speak all these things, but it's all theoretical what I am speaking. But with time, if you try to understand that mood and try to implement such mood, pray to these personalities, that we also understand the mood you have, or we also get your mercy and understand this kind of position. Means we are able to understand the position of the Lord in this way. Then, if you memorize and recite these prayers in such a mode, then naturally the Lord will definitely become pleased, and then naturally His mercy will follow. And that's why we see all these prayers are very, very amazing reminder that how we have to always take shelter of the Lord, understanding that just by taking His shelter, just by getting His mercy, we can understand Him, not by our own endeavor. How much ever we try, whatever we try, in whatever strengths and capabilities we try, but unless the Lord showers His mercy, it's not at all possible to understand the Lord. And when Lord showers His mercy, for such a person, as it's mentioned here, for such a person who is advanced in spiritual realization, then that person can see your transcendental form as the super soul and even as the supreme personality of Godhead. For such a person, for a Mahabhagavat, he can understand who is the cause of all causes. And as it's described, whatever he sees, ultimately he sees the connection with the Supreme Lord. Or he can see that connection of that activity or that thing with the Supreme Personality. So this is how when we recite these prayers, or when we understand the context of these prayers, try to connect with these prayers, that way these are very, very potent stuff that with time, when we reciting these prayers again and again, we can understand the mode, or we can also try to beg for the realization that we also try to get this mode. So with this, I would like to pause here. Hare Krishna. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for the nice class. So you mentioned this one in Brahma Vimohan, where the Brahma is able to understand whatever is happening in the complete universe, his body, so he can understand everything what is happening. My question was like the associates of Lord who came back from Krishna Loka, were they the creation of Brahma, or like they were directly coming from Krishna?
The associates of the Lord who came with him for the performing the pastimes. So some of them, it comes in the description in Bhagavatam only that some of them were demigods who were specially invited for the purpose of participating in the Lord's pastime. Because Lord announced that now I am going to arrive, when they went for to offer the prayers. So he told some of them that now you should descend before me, because his associates come before the Lord. And some were direct associates of the Lord who descended from the spiritual world also.
So those were not Krishna, they were like.
And definitely when it comes to, I think, personal associates of the Lord, they were direct associates who were descended from the spiritual world. Both of them were there.
So you mentioned like Lord as Paramatma from inside, he guides the living entity to get liberation. But we see the job profile of Paramatma in like to Upadishana mantra that he records and he has expansions. How is he guiding soul?
So Lord exists, as we discussed, Lord exists Paramatma within, and Chaitya Guru that we call, and the Guru who is the external representation of this, external representation of the Supreme Lord. So when a person actually wants to understand the Supreme Lord, when a person actually desires to understand something, then Lord sends his representatives in his life. So this is a kind of guidance when a person sincerely desires, he tries to understand what is this all about, or who is the one who is the cause of all causes. Then Lord guides him to the spiritual master. And then when he accepts instructions from the spiritual master, again he reads the scriptures to understand more about the Lord. Or when he advances, then the Lord from within also gives him instructions, sufficiently advances. So that way the guidance happens.
Thank you for the nice class. The point you mentioned that the Lord takes incarnations, now the three words. So to my knowledge, whatever the scriptures are here, so most of the pastimes are by the Lord in the earlier and few pastimes here. So is there any more information we get from any scriptures where Lord is taking incarnations from other countries and also? and give this last more elaborate.
So we have some instances in Bhagavatam also, but I'm not remembering. Or even when it comes to Narsimha Dev pastime also. So in the Satyuga now, it's mentioned in the Kali Yuga that happened in the in the Dwapar Yuga. It happened in the same place, means the Kauravas, Pandavas, Lord took birth in the same place, and the demons were also born in the same planet, same place. Treta Yuga, they were in different places. And when it comes to description of Satyuga, that they were in different planets altogether. That's what I had heard the description of appearance of Narsimha, appearance of Hiranyakashipu and Narsimha Dev like that. So now exactly I'm not recalling any such instance, but what I understand that even Hiranyakashipu was on a different zone altogether, like different planet or something.
This also that it was Brahma, then this Hamsa stop was there. So it was in Brahma Loka or
Yes.
Even I'm not sure. Vaibhav appeared in the higher family system. That last time happened in the higher family system. Anyway, since we're not able to finish this Bhagavatam, other Bhagavatam we are not able to access. 1 lakh verses, there's a Bhagavatam of 1 lakh verses. I think that will discuss.
Like Narsimha appeared in different planets, but we see the pillar in our.
Even in Pakistan, there is one place where that pillar is there. 2 places. So Lord appears from multiple places.
Last, the purpose of illness. So what is it? What's the purpose which you discussed?
8370.
86.
so Pradita comes under which category too, because he's not like we will discuss most of the cases that the devotees who is aspiring for moksha, he will not under comes falls in the category of devotee. So Gajendra is requesting here the moksha. So how can we understand this? Sarupya, Samatya, goals, goddess.
This Prabhuji can.
See, Gajendra comes in category of Atma. He's distressed. He comes in that category. So when it comes to his prayers also, he's expecting moksha. He wants to get rid of that situation. So it's not the NOD pure devotion service.
How Bhagavatam like emphasizing moksha, Bhagavatam includes moksha because it's pure devotion service.
So in the entire prayer, we can see that Lord's opulence is described. And another very nice thing about Gajendra, you see, that is highlighted, that he, as Prabhu also mentioned, he is not taking help from anyone else apart from Krishna. So this is one level of surrender, one level of devotional service, but it's still, I'm not sure, but we can refer to Acharya commentaries. So still it's mixed on one point.
I had asked my question, Vedanta,
It comes when the pure devotion only and going ahead, we'll see on the big answer.
This one is what Gajendra.
Discuss.
So we can check, cross check this.
Grantha Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.